Last week, Taylor surprised us all by revealing a lot of details about TS12, which we now know as the life of a showgirl. With around 6 weeks to go, we want to discuss everything we know, as well as theorise about everything we don't. Welcome to Swiftly Spoken, a fan-made Taylor Swift podcast in which we break down her lyrics, deep dive into full album retrospectives, and theorise about what may be coming next. As always, we're your hosts, Cameron and Lisa, and in this episode we're going to be reacting to and discussing everything we know about the life of a showgirl. Additionally, we're also celebrating our podcast's anniversary, which is 4-year anniversary, which is crazy.
Oh my
We've been
God.
around since 2021.
Yes.
It seems like only yesterday, but you might notice some potential changes around here soon. So keep an eye out on that. Yeah, let's get into life of a showgirl.
So it's funny because in our last episode, and I think both you and I felt something shifting, because for the last 2 episodes,
Yes.
at the end, we've been like, and we'll be continuing with this, that, and the other, as long as Taylor doesn't do anything, haha. But lo and behold, she did indeed do something.
We felt like something was coming, but no one was too sure when. I think after Hits, was it Hits Daily or whatever they're called? Once they did that, I was like, that's a big publication. Like, they're not going to make that up. It's a bit like, don't you remember when Rolling Stone said that, like, Maisie Peters was going to be on the Eras tour? And then it was like, that publication wouldn't have printed that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they wouldn't have fact checked.
Yeah.
And then it was like, no. And then guess what she was?
That's it.
You know what I
Like,
mean? Don't you remember?
sometimes
It's kind of like...
these rumours that come out... when they come from certain factions, then other ones are very unreliable, but sometimes...
Yeah, like if it's coming from TMZ or something.
No,
then,
like, we know it is
either way.
right.
But something like that, I'm like, I just feel like they wouldn't have published that if there wasn't something. And then the fact that then we found out that Taylor's team then shut it down and they were like calling and contacting. It was like, okay, then if it wasn't true, why would they want to shut it all down?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like, weird. So I felt like something was coming, and then obviously Taylor Nation posted all
those
those
12
photos of Taylor in orange outfits, and I was like, shit.
12.
And then it kind of has been chaos since then.
Yes, it has. It has been a week of chaos since then. Obviously, a very different way for Taylor to announce an album by going on a podcast. She's a girl after her own hearts because, you know...
Yes,
we love
finally.
a podcast. Yeah.
What's interesting is I feel like podcasting and artists kind of going on podcasts and promoting stuff is like become like the new way to promote. Whereas before they did a lot of kind of like sit down interviews with, you know, like they did like press days where they just like sit in one room and just have a million boring questions. Now they do a press day where they go around different podcasts.
That's very
Miley
true.
Cyrus has recently done it. Demi Lovato's kind of done a couple recently. It's kind of the new thing. So it's quite interesting that Taylor has slightly adapted her album announcement because, you know, back in the day it was on like Yahoo live streams, and then it kind of transitioned over to like Instagram posts, and then Instagram lives, and then back to Instagram posts, and then announcing at award shows, and now kind of podcasts. It's interesting how she's kind of changed it up every time, but this does seem quite new and fresh and new, definitely a new way for Taylor, but I think also a new way that artists are promoting their music and to reaching different audiences, because like now it means that sound bites and little clips from it can be used on TikTok.
That's it, because I think it plays into both things that people want. Like, number one, obviously very short clips that are consumed exactly really fast, and you can like swipe through it on a reel. But at the same time, a lot of people do tune into podcasts. Like, they are an interesting form of media that people like to consume. They put it on in the background while they're doing things, and a lot of people, you know, there has been a rise in podcasts, and like you said, it's very true that a lot of artists, instead of going maybe to like late night shows like they used to, people aren't watching television so much anymore. They get their information and their interviews and their whatever online, and podcasts are one of the main platforms and one of the main things that they can use. Obviously for us, we're grateful because we get like a whole, and especially the podcast, obviously she was on New Heights, so she was in a very comfortable environment, and you know, she was able to lead the way. And I'm sure that Shri and her discussed prior to going on, like, you know, not for the conversation at large, but for the section in which she does announce the album, you know, like, these are the things that we have to hit on, these are the things I want to announce, this is how I want to do it.
I mean, she even decked the background with little kind of hints and stuff. So it's, what was so nice though was that like it was so comfortable. Like, to see her in such a comfortable environment with obviously her boyfriend and her boyfriend's brother was just such a nice... It's mad that Taylor's most like casual interview podcast, whatever, that she's ever done was with like on a football American football podcast.
That's like absolutely...
The fact that is like one of the most impressive interviews she's ever done and most informative interviews ever was on like a football podcast.
Yeah, like these two...
If you told us that
men
5 years ago,
like giving like this interview, but no, they did really well. I absolutely enjoyed it. I should be watching it again as time goes on, because firstly we had 2 hours of content, which is absolutely amazing, and she was very open, and we got to see all different kind of facets of her and her artistry and her life and just how she's getting on from the tour. A lot of amazing questions were asked, which I really enjoyed. She was just comfortable and was able to open up because she trusts the people who she's with. She knows that, you know, questions aren't going to be misconstrued on purpose. These are things, you're in a comfortable situation, and I can't fault her for doing that. I think it was a very, very clever thing to do.
Realistically as well, it being her boyfriend's podcast, like, she'll get to see the edit.
So
whereas like a lot of the podcasts and stuff, it depends. I only have heard little bits from people that have gone on podcasts, but sometimes they sign stuff that basically means they don't see the edit.
No, this is it, and it's up to the person in charge.
The fact that she'll get to see that, I'm sure it just felt unbelievably comfortable, because she hasn't really done. I'm trying to think of the last time she really did an interview, like a proper interview, was probably like Midnights when she like went on Graham Norton. That's probably one of the last times I feel like she's done like a sit-downy style interview, and even that was obviously not exactly like a one-on-one interview. It's been
a really, really long time since we have got like Taylor just talking, and even then, again, there's always like specific things to like fill up the time, and I don't know, like planned questions that are asked because you don't want them to ask about like your personal life and your personal business. But here that wasn't going to happen, and anything that was revealed was just like literally on their own terms. And it's funny because we got reveals of so much more of her personal life and like how she's doing behind the scenes than in any other interview. And especially my favorite part, before we get into all the TS12 things, was of course when she was speaking about recovering her masters, which was so touching. Incredibly touching.
Tears. It was like when she was getting all choked up, and I was just like, don't. No, that was so lovely, because obviously we know obviously she's elated about it, and we've read her letter, like you can tell how like unbelievably happy she is that how this has all been resolved. To really hear it from like the horse's mouth and like actually see her properly talk about it and see her getting choked up and how much this meant to her, and getting to hear the backstory of like how you know, she sent her mother and brother to kind of like fight her corner, and I guess that's probably because she knew that if she went it would just be all emotion,
right?
Whereas she could send her mother and brother who could correctly convey her emotion, but maybe in a less,
also like the business part of it.
Exactly. Whereas, you know, you could just see that she just was she's like, these are mine, I just want them. To hear all the backstory of that, to hear the backstory of how she found out, and then when she told Travis, and like, it was just so lovely. And that was one of my favourite sections, just getting to hear that, hearing about the Eras tour, and like hearing about sections that she loved, like, you know, the light up
the balloons
thing during Willow, which was really interesting because that actually ended. It kind of rapidly became a thing like during the German leg of the Eras tour, and then after Vienna obviously that kind of stopped, and like it wasn't really a thing, little bits, but not on the level of like some of those German shows,
right?
And then everyone had a latex allergy and then it kind of stopped.
Right.
But it was interesting that Taylor loved that section, so it was interesting to hear that.
Definitely.
Just like the life of the life of someone on the road,
the life of a showgirl.
Exactly.
It's
the behind the scenes was so interesting.
It was, and it definitely, I loved the podcast because we got to see all facets of Taylor, but especially once again, as she always has, she's conveyed how much it all means to her, like how intrinsically she feels connected to her music, and how then she can feel connected to us as fans through like the show, and how much energy that takes from you as well, because all of the behind the scenes that we kind of got information about up to now has been very like glamorized, which is what it looks like this album is going to be part of as well. However, also hearing the other half of that, and I hope we see that in this album as well, like there are a lot of parts to doing 4 shows every single week in heels and singing for 4 hours, and it being expected of you. Obviously you've set yourself up for that, but it's still interesting to see how that takes a toll.
That was so interesting. And then getting to hear about how Taylor and Travis first started dating was really lovely.
That's what I mean. The insight was like really,
it was just so nice,
much more in depth than You would have thought, yeah.
Ever, yeah. And what was so nice was when she said about how the fact that he was so public about her wanting to date her, and she was like, I've literally like written songs about this since I was a teenager, and I was like, oh my god, I never even thought of that. No, that was so lovely. Like, I really loved all of those kind of bits. Not that we are entitled to know anything, quite the opposite, but it's so lovely to just know like what's going on behind the scenes and just kind of reconnect with her on more of a personal level, and hear about all the sourdough that she's been doing.
This is it. It's like quirks of her personality that we used to see during like 1989 and those types of eras where she was going on a lot of different interviews and doing a lot of different promo for things, and you would see like bits of her personality come out. Understandably, she shut down all of that for a while, and then we were given information in different ways, like you said, like Instagram lives or seeing her on tour or other things like that. But this way it was just such an open conversation. It was a breath of fresh air, and it was just like fun and funny, and to see like how she's on sourdough blogs and things like that. I don't know, I found it very endearing, very emotional at parts, and just in general just really happy.
Yeah, me too. She came across as so happy, and just it was just such a down to earth and just really like just lovely interview. We have to really get into what we're actually here for.
Exactly.
And I think what's interesting is obviously they announced it. For us, it was like ridiculously early in the morning.
Yeah.
And I had decided that I was not going to watch it ridiculously early in the morning because I just felt like I just was not going to be able to process it. So what I decided to do was like turn my phone off and get up in the morning and watch it and not see anything online, and basically go off grid for like 12
to experience
hours.
The announcement and the info.
So that I could experience it exactly how Taylor kind of intended, which was via the podcast. And because even when I was like clicking on it, because I watched it on my TV, and it came up with the thumbnail and it had like the album cover, I was like, no. You know, I was like,
you wanted it to be the surprise at the end.
Yeah, exactly. But then turning my phone back on was like chaos.
Oh yeah,
I was like,
basically me screaming at you. Mostly.
Like, have you got the CDs? Like,
well, this is it, because it all happened so quickly, and obviously for us, like you said, it was announced. Like, well, firstly we got kind of like the announcement of the 12th studio album at 12 minutes past 12 on the 12th, and then the podcast also released in the middle of the night. So for us, all of these announcements were made either really, really early hours of the morning or in the middle of the night for us. It was difficult. So I understand. I also kind of like wanted to turn off, but as soon as I woke up, I was like, right, get this on, and I need to note the information, because well, by the time that we got to the end of the podcast, which is 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours, yeah.
Then we had to kind of like process, oh my god, there's 4 editions, which we'll get to, and we'll get to which ones we like more or less or whatever. It all kind of like, for us, it was all at the same time, but obviously it was all over the course of this night time.
Because I will never forget when Lover came out, the day of release, I was away and I hadn't kind of, again, no access to the internet, so it meant that I just went to HMV. I like quickly like downloaded it, like used my like very limited like 4G at the time, downloaded the album on iTunes, and then went to HMV the next day and bought it. But what was so nice was I got to digest the album without any outside opinion.
I think that's
so all of my
interesting.
For the first 24 hours,
which is yours,
were my own.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I didn't know. I only knew what was written in the linear notes and in the diaries,
and that was it.
And that was it. So I got to kind of take it for like what it was, and I do really miss that. And I remember I did the same with Folklore. Actually, I got up really early and just went on a walk and like listened to it a couple of times before going online and hearing anyone's opinions, because I think sometimes your opinions can be like swayed by what other people think, and so I'm kind of, I do quite like doing it where you get to just experience it by yourself. And I'm a firm believer, like, you only listen to an album for the first time once.
That's it.
You know what I mean? You never get to listen to an album for the first time again.
Don't let
or get to
other people
this.
dictate how you should feel about something.
Exactly.
Because that's kind of like, because obviously for this one, we'll address it here. There have been things leaks. We will not speak about them. That is not something. And we hope that everyone in our audience also like disavows them and does not interact, just goes about their day and does not like go into that, or at least doesn't like repost and share them, because that's not how Taylor intended this to go. It's not. It is not fun. No, it's not. Like, it's a bit of a spoil of the surprise. Like, exactly. Also, it's 6 weeks. It's really not that long.
Exactly. And it does just ruin things. It just means like it's so much more fun to hear it from Taylor.
Yeah.
Like, and watch her reveal it than see some shitty picture of it on Twitter.
That's it.
You know what I mean? Like, who?
But
like, come on.
The problem is a lot of people are already forming opinions just off of like 3 blurry songs that they can see, you know, like, and they can read the lyrics of, and they're forming opinions. And we haven't even experienced this yet. Like, don't let that skew your opinions just because some people online, and it's always people that are negative about it or just want to find, this isn't right because of XYZ, whatever.
Pick holes in it.
Yeah. I think that what you did for Lover and Folklore is what in general you should do to, you know, and then afterwards I love the idea of coming together as a community and speaking about it. That's why we have this podcast.
Everyone else loved.
That's it.
And then
we will have space to breathe and then come together. Yeah,
exactly. And there's so many like lyrics and things that like I hadn't picked up on.
That's it. And then you can
that I'm like, oh my god,
yeah,
and then
properly
I
dive
can go
in
back and then enjoy it in a different way.
Exactly. That's it. Back on track with TS12, which is no longer TS12. It is The Life of a Showgirl, which is, I don't know, we were just calling it TS12 the other day. I got kind of attached, but it is The Life of a Showgirl.
And I guess it's kind of a bit like the Torture Poets Department.
Yeah, we have a nice long title.
Name.
Yeah.
What? Because I just call the Torture Poets Department
Tortured Poets. I guess.
What do you think we'll call this? Like Showgirl?
Maybe.
Showgirl?
I can see that happening. Just Showgirl.
Yeah.
I've seen the acronym a few times, like TLOAS.
Oh, I can't deal with those. Like my dyslexia. I'm sorry. They're like no.
TTPD was good though. TTPD was.
Yeah, TTPD.
Easy.
I can get down with.
Yeah, but
TLOAS.
TLOAS. It's a bit of a mouthful. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think probably we'll end up just calling it Showgirl. Before we actually we will get into all of the information that is very interesting from the actual podcast episode. We did get a playlist. It is 22 tracks long. It does start with 22. It's an hour and 22 minutes. It's all in alphabetical order, and it's all exclusively original Taylor songs. Well, except for a couple that are from the vault, right? But they're all Max Martin and Shellback produced, who have famously, up to now, not really worked together in a very long time, nor with Taylor, like the three of them. Obviously, now we know why this playlist was curated in that way when it comes to producers.
The ones that have a Taylor's version and an OG were OG. But that's because a lot of the ones that were Max Martin and Shellback
were no longer produced by them.
Were no longer, or were just Max Martin.
Exactly. So that's why it had to be the originals. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's really interesting how she hasn't worked with them since Reputation. Reputation was the last time that they had kind of like collabed on new music.
The three of them together, yeah.
Since then has only worked with Max Martin on a couple of Taylor's versions here and there.
Right.
So it's now interesting that she's now gone with them solely, like no other producers, very laser focused. I feel like it does feel a little bit
1989
like with 1989.
Yeah. Although 1989, as for producers, though she was very focused and she wanted to work with Max Martin and Shellback much more, we did have other producers, although all of them,
Brian Tedder,
exactly, all of them, and Jack, of course, all of them did stick to, like, with the sound, they all kind of like followed, this is the sound that has to be present throughout. So it feels very tight. It feels very cohesive. Obviously the word for 1989, but it does feel like a return in many ways to that album and this is obviously one of the pieces of information that we got through the podcast. Max Martin and Shellback are the sole producers alongside Taylor. It's the three of them working together on the entire album, which I think is so interesting. No Jack Antonoff, no Aaron Dessner. Aaron Dessner, you will be missed. You will be missed. Yes, no, Aaron, definitely, he will be missed. I do think Jack does get like a lot of bad like stick and press sometimes about like his work with Taylor recently. I think that people do over dramatize it a little bit, that it's like overly repetitive, because I don't think it is. Like, listen to Midnights and TTPD, they are very different, but at the same time I do also agree that potentially it would be good to just hear Taylor working with different people, because like it just like when we first heard it with Aaron Dessner, it was a totally new side of Taylor. This is it. I like to see that. Yeah, exactly. And Taylor, Max and Shellback have, like, when they've worked together before, it's been like they've like struck gold, so why not go for it again with a lot of growth. So it's really interesting and a lot of like development from then to now, because let's face it, when they worked together for the last time, like you said, that's Reputation, that's like 2016 exactly. So, and also she was under a lot more pressure, I feel like, from the label. She was also very aware that this was going to be an album where she was going to hand it in and probably never gain ownership of it and have to then leave after that. What a time, to be honest. Under a lot more artistic
you know, like
pressure.
There's a lot more like pressure on her from Big Machine, whereas I feel like obviously we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but just from the way that she's able to release 30-track albums, and
it's
second
very
that
much
she's been with Republic has been releasing stuff,
you can do what you
I feel
like.
like they're a bit more free.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
And speaking of 1989, that is how she kind of described this. Very infectious melodies, but also intentional lyrics. 1989 X folklore, which is a very interesting comment that we'll have to keep in mind for whenever we do update that family tree to see if she's hit the nail on the head, or maybe we differ.
And what's interesting as well is Travis loves 1989.
Oh god, yeah.
And he clearly loves this album.
Stan.
What was funny though was the fact he didn't know what Red was. I was like, yes, come on.
He's like, no, I haven't heard that one. No, I only listened to 1989 and the tour songs. Which fair enough.
Yeah, exactly. And it was the way Taylor was like, "Oh, don't worry, that wasn't on
yeah,
the set list."
It's fine.
Oh, bless him. And then when he was saying that he like listens to playlists that are like a mix of Taylor's versions and OGs and stuff, I was like, "Oh, bless him." He's learning, but there's a lot to learn.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. Imagine coming into the fandom now with 12 albums plus re-records.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, it is quite overwhelming with the amount of music, especially with recent releases where we've had from the vault tracks, or we've had extra tracks released, which leads us to an important piece of information.
Yes.
Taylor has said that this is a very focused, disciplined album, 12 tracks, and that's that. It's funny because...
It's very exciting.
Yes, I agree. Because, you know, the fandom has been saying it for a long time. Obviously, I kind of like think the more the better for me. I like a good, you know, structured album.
Get to see the whole picture.
But if we get like TTPD is a structured album. If we get a whole extra album's worth of songs, for me, I'm like, cool. I can listen to TTPD as like one whole, or I can listen to all this wealth of music, which for me is very, very fun. And some of my favorite songs are from deluxe versions. So for me, I'm very, very happy about that. However, I know in the fandom there was a lot of chatter about how they didn't want Taylor to be long-winded in albums. Should we just say that? Right, they wanted to kind of like, I want 12, 13 tracks and that's that. And that is what she's doing. And now that she's mentioned that, everyone's like, oh no, just 12 tracks.
I know.
I bet she's going to release some more. And it's like, what do you want? Like, she can't win, honestly.
I know. No, I did think that, but I was quite happy when I heard that, because I was like I said, I love TTBD, I love Midnights, I love the 3am, I love all of the weird and wonderful versions, but sometimes it is quite nice to get a really well focused, succinct album that it's like these tracks have had to fight for their place on this album. You know what I mean? Like, they've had to fight off 30 other songs, and there's a reason why they're on this album, why they deserve to be in that place. And I think Taylor made that very clear, that she was very disciplined with, this is going on here for a reason.
Yeah.
And it does hark back to like the Big Machine days, when I feel like they were a lot more, I don't know, restrictive. I'm like, no,
right,
this,
yeah,
this. You know what I mean? Big Machine would have never let a 30 track
right
slide,
no.
You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, like, with Red it was iffy as well, because there was a point in which, you know, Big Machine were like, that's fine, cut it off, you don't need all these pop songs. And you're like, no, I want to continue working, I want to explore this side of the album as well, which thank God she did, because even though Red is much more of a packed album, it does explore so much more thanks to that side of the album as well. No, it's interesting because it's, like you said, these songs have had to fight for their place. And again, it does remind us of 1989 and of Reputation, which were very, you know, Reputation did not have a deluxe. It was what it was. It told the story it needed to tell. No frills, no extra decoration. That is what it was, right? That's why we were so interested in the vault tracks, because Reputation was very contained. So it's kind of like,
and it was like, what else was left off?
Exactly.
And for what reason? Yeah, no, definitely. But I do find that exciting though, and I think that what's interesting as well is there's been a lot of success with tracks, albums that are a little bit shorter. Things like Short and Sweet, Billie Eilish recently with like Hit Me Hard and Soft, like albums that Short and Sweet now does have a deluxe, but I feel like it was very successful before any deluxe.
Oh, definitely.
And Billie doesn't have a deluxe for Hit Me Hard and Soft. So it's interesting how, you know, there has been a lot of success with albums that maybe don't have deluxe versions or are a little bit more focused. So I am very excited for that, because like Taylor said, like TTPD was a bit of like a kind of like, I don't know, like
cathartic. I need to get this off my chest.
Exactly.
Yeah. And she has described this like as a 180 from Tortured Poets.
Yeah.
So where that was very dark and kind of like depressing in some cases and very cathartic and very, I need to get this off my chest, this feels, and she said it herself, it's like more joyful, dramatic but in a different way, and like very much lightning in a bottle. I think she described it as how it all came together, and I think that's so exciting. The way that she's described it has been very, very enticing. I don't care if there's 12 songs, 10 songs, 15, whatever.
2 songs.
I'm very excited on how she has kind of like how proud she is of the album, and how curated it seems.
And the fact that she said that she wanted to be as proud of it as the Eras tour, and even Travis was like, and the Eras tour is your whole career.
And the Eras tour is like, such a celebration, and has been so well received. Like, everyone loves the Eras tour, right?
Exactly. So the fact that she wants to be as proud of it as something that celebrates her entire career, and that it's been so well received, is like, okay, she is like, this seems like laser focused. Like, you know. And I feel like Max Martin and Shellback as well are a bit like that with their kind of like their production methods.
Definitely, yeah.
You know, whenever I've seen behind the scenes clips of them and Taylor, it seems very like
I mean,
so I'm really excited for that.
So am I, because from obviously 1989 as a whole, like we said, has different producers, and all of them did put their heart and soul into it. Like, obviously Imogen is such an amazing producer on that album, for example. Jack did an amazing job, Ryan Tedder did an amazing job, etc. But Max Martin and Shellback, obviously we got the 1989 hits from them, but they didn't just produce a hit, they also encouraged Taylor to embrace the quirks that she enjoyed adding into the songs, and like throwing herself fully into those songs. That's why 1989 is what it is, because it's not just a pop polish hit for radio. It's so much more than that to Taylor and to them. Them as producers, they are so involved in like every single like little sound that you can hear.
It's so exciting. And what's really interesting was that she was flying to Sweden.
Yes.
It was all done during the European leg of the Eras,
which I think is so special for us.
I know, it's so fun. She also did give a little shout out to one of the shows that I was obviously at, which Travis was brought out, which I was like, oh, I was there. But no, the fact it was during the European leg, and like I said, she was sneaking off to Sweden, which, to be fair, like, was she seen doing that?
I think there was some rumbling, but not really. Like, you know, like, I was going to say, in general, it wasn't put out there.
Think back. Yeah, because I was trying to think back, but I feel like there was so much going on at that time.
True.
New outfits.
Also, both you and I
and this and that
were very much.
We were attending. Yeah, so
busy.
We were kind of like,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I was thinking, because I remember for a while there was that creep that used to like track her jet and things like that.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, was all of that, were people being like, oh, why is she going to Sweden all the time?
Again, because we are disengaged from that part of, because obviously it's overstepping and we don't like to be involved in anything like that. Yeah. Perhaps we missed it.
I didn't see anything.
Maybe. Yeah, I do feel like something was said,
exciting,
but no, 100% very exciting, yeah. Because that's it. It's so like, this was written during the Eras tour, specifically during the European.
How the hell did you have time?
Exactly. That's crazy.
Are you kidding?
But it also feels like,
I remember,
so real, right? It is the life of the showgirl, because she was the showgirl, and she was like doing it backstage within the tour, and apparently we're gonna get like that look behind the curtain. I think it's such a good theme. It's such a good like concept.
I love the theme.
Yeah. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say, like, I don't know how she was able to have the time, because I remember, and you did it as well, like multiple shows back to back. When I did multiple, I was knackered. The one after, like the adrenaline, the excitement, whatever. But the day after,
no, when you finished like the couple, it was just like no one.
You know, when you're done and you're like walking out the stadium and you're like, oh my god, my feet
no one talked to me.
My head hurts.
In 2 to 5 business days.
How are you then going, okay, I'm gonna go fly to Sweden and make an album?
Exactly. And how much that consumes you as well. Like, obviously she was saying, I only had space in my brain for like what was the next remix or what was the next costume or whatever, but not really, because you were also creating all of this. God, she's just so she can't stop, honestly, because it just flows from her. It's something that she very, very much enjoys, and you can tell, because a lot of people wouldn't have the balls to do that, quite frankly.
No, definitely. What's interesting as well is kind of harping back to what we said about Reputation, Reputation being, a very specific amount of songs, nothing else bar this, very focused, is that there's a lot of links to Reputation.
Yes.
The photo shoot is literally done by the same person, which was really weird, because when I saw it, and I think you said the same, I was like, this looks a bit like Reputation.
Exactly.
I don't know, there was something, a vibe about the photo shoot that does feel similar.
Yeah, and well, obviously it is because it was taken by Marcus, who have worked with her on Reputation, so it makes sense. But and
the photo shoot is gorgeous.
Oh god, it definitely is.
She looks absolutely insane.
Yeah, and I think she's capturing what she wanted to capture very, very well.
Definitely.
Like, it's almost it's behind the curtain, but not really, because I'm still all dolled up.
Exactly.
It's giving I'm still on that tightrope. Really. I'm a mirror ball.
Yeah.
So I'm loving that. But definitely, we could both tell that there's some kind of connection, some sort of... It was the cut-ups. Exactly, like the collage-y...
Intense glare.
Set up. Yeah, that's it.
The kind of like, and hair pulled back.
I think that's so interesting as well. Because everything is very purposeful with Taylor and her artistry. And I think it's very purposeful how she has, in comparison to her other albums, she's spoken about 1989, Folklore, and Reputation, like related to Showgirl, related to the life of a showgirl. Yeah. So that's very interesting. Obviously, 1989 in Folklore, we could take a guess at why they're being mentioned.
Yeah.
But Reputation is a very interesting one too. Also call back to. Yeah, even the CD, from what we can see, like the design of it is very much Reputation coded with like all the cutting up. Like, it's kind of like collage-y in a way.
Definitely. No, definitely. And I guess we haven't actually spoken about it yet. The cover.
The cover. Yes, the cover.
What is your opinion? We haven't, because we've spoken a little bit behind the scenes,
but not much, because we've been saving.
But we've been trying to be like, I don't want to say
that's it. Well, I have to say, because obviously we saw that cover, but then like 10 minutes later, because of how it worked for us, we saw the other 3 editions. And I have a favourite. We will get into that in a second. The original cover, at first I was like, why is she in a bath? But then when I got the explanation, I understood, and it makes a lot of sense, and I really love that concept. Like, this is her after a show. That is what she would do. She'd just like soak in a bath because her muscles and everything are just like destroyed. Makes a lot of sense. So I do very much like it. That is it.
Side.
Exactly, that's it. And I do quite like it because of that. It's not my favourite cover though out of the 4 that we got, I have to say. Okay.
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
No, I do really like it. I
love the colour scheme though. I'm loving this mint.
Love the colour scheme.
Orange. Yeah. I love the theories about like the rust and
Lady Liberty's touching
exactly like the corrosion and how certain metals go from one color to another, but it is for preservation. Love those theories very much.
Me too. But no, I really like the cover and I like the cut-ups. I think it's really different, because I've seen a lot of people say they're not too keen on the cut-ups. I'm like, no,
I think
the bit that I feel like adds
definitely, because it kind of like highlights certain parts. She's captured what we can see, and the names like they all go together pretty well, and it's capturing this essence of the show girl, but something not quite right about it, that's how I'm feeling.
No, same. And I like the photo shoot as well, because I feel like even though the photo shoots are very different, Folklore, Evermore, Midnight's, TTBD have been quite moody photo shoots, a lot of like head in the hands and looking down, and out either like just all a bit kind of sad. And even Fearless and Red, Taylor's version, we've had not like repetitive photo shoots, but they've been of a similar vein.
Well, that's it. A photographer has their vision as well, and she's worked with Beth Garibrandt for all of these eras, so it makes sense that they do have, even though they're very styled very differently, they have like similarities between them because of the photographer also has their own vision and their own style. It makes a lot of sense. I completely agree.
The fact that instantly we could recognize that, and that's a sign of a good photographer, that you can look at an image and know exactly
their style.
And the fact that with the Showgirl stuff,
like Reputation,
and we were thinking Reputation, this is weird.
I love that.
But it's nice though to get a shift though again in the photography and have something that is more glitzy and more, there's more going on. So that was really exciting. I'm just so excited about all of it, and you're like, I feel like Taylor has really listened.
Oh, definitely. I think so as well.
To criticisms, and
I think she's taken it all on board.
Yeah, and I don't feel like in a negative way. I think she's thought, okay, I can use this. I can work with this.
Definitely, yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like it's she's really laser focused, and her describing it, you could see how clear she was about all of it, and how she was like, how all over it she was, and I'm really, really excited, and I'm so glad that she's spoken about it and her vision and why the album cover was picked and why this was picked, because we haven't heard that in so long, and I love stuff like that. Like, obviously it's lovely to know, like, that her private life's all really good and she's coming across as really happy.
But we're here for we're here for the artistry, the music, the vision.
The thing that I love the most
is when she speaks about that.
Why this song was written, what this was done, why the album cover was done. Like, stuff like that to me makes makes like listening to an album so much more interesting.
Well, like she
I've
says,
loved that we've got that.
she's making music an experience. It's not just let's listen to this and turn it off. It's like you know all the behind the scenes and the vision for it, and you understand it, and then you can critically look at it through different lenses, apply it to your life, apply it to different situations, or even just interpret it in a different way because it's art. And that's how I like to. I think that Taylor's always been good at describing her art that way because she is so all over it. It's like you said, she enjoys it so much and she puts so much of herself into it. It's not just let's just bang out this this album. I'll just sing a few lines someone else wrote for me,
slap a cover
and
on
slap
it,
a cover on it and call it a day.
Exactly.
We don't have long to wait though. October 3rd.
Yes.
6 weeks-ish.
Which is exciting. It feels like the old days, you know, when we used to have albums released in like October.
Yeah.
I feel like we haven't had that in so
In a
long.
while,
Like that's
yeah.
like proper Big Machine days, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. Other things we know, getting ahead of ourselves here a little bit, but that's fine. I'm not sure if there's going to be 1 or 2 poems at the moment because Taylor mentioned a poem that is included in the standard. And then obviously with the Shiny Bug edition, which has just been announced a few days ago at this point, it also comes with a poem. Not sure, same poem, different poems, could be 2 poems. Either way, we love a Taylor poem.
Exactly. Oh yeah, very excited. We again haven't had one. Oh no.
We had
Stevie Nicks, wasn't
TTPD.
it?
Yeah. No, TTPD's prologue was a
yes,
poem.
at the start, the prologue.
yeah.
Yeah, of course. Again, we haven't had that in a while in terms of like as a like little bonus add-on, like with Reputation.
Right,
we kind of
again.
got a couple.
Very Reputation.
Yes, similar. Yes, with the magazine versions and Vogue. Didn't you send one to Vogue as well?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's exciting, and that's the thing with Taylor. Like, no matter how much she wants to be like the major pop star, have a pop star moment, like it's all pop hits, upbeat, whatever, like infectious melodies.
Then she's going to include a little poem.
Loves a poem, you know what I mean? Like she will still include a poem.
Yeah.
She'll still go back to her roots, you know what I mean? Which I love. Guess we get onto the variants because that was another very exciting thing. And one thing, obviously at the moment we've only really had the CDs and one extra vinyl, but I was really happy that all the CDs were released as one.
Yes, thank you.
We don't have to pay multiple shipping.
Oh,
I feel like
TTPD.
someone somewhere's listened to something.
Thank God.
I feel like we're still going to get individual drops here and there.
I agree.
But at least all the CDs came out together.
Yes.
Hopefully this is all of them.
Yeah, better be.
Because you never know.
Yeah. No, but I think these are like the main 4 editions. The Sweat and Vanilla perfume, that it's frightening, it's rapturous, and it's beautiful. All a different colour. Countdown for it was very interesting. Like the door falling into place, the locked becoming unlocked in all these different colours. That bloody door.
The fact that door... yeah, the fact that was... I was like, oh, for God's sake. You know, and you're like, I've been proven wrong. Like,
we got to swallow our pride,
yeah, exactly.
Also,
I was like, for God's sake.
Don't bring out that Lover House.
Oh, don't. I've seen people bring up that Lover House and then now mentioning that the door... I'm like, come on. Like, there's too many albums now. Like, we can't do the same as... We can't be doing what we did with Midnight Square. It's like, it's the outside.
Someone said TS13 is the chimney. No. We need to stop. We need to stop.
It's burnt down. Like, that was a very specific artistic choice that she did.
Love
she burnt it down for a reason.
It just, like, evil never dies. It reinvents itself. It does.
Oh, it does. Honestly, to this, that was the worst thing she's ever done.
It's so funny. Speaking of,
it's just lived on.
It is our 4th anniversary, and our first ever episode was
the Lover episode.
Yeah, the MV, but very focused on that bloody Lover House, which has now become the bane of our existence. But anyway, back to variants. So yeah, the Sweat and Vanilla perfume edition is the standard. It is like very orange, and it includes, on those 4 deluxe, they also include a little bit of merch, which is a fun little addition.
Yes, I think they were very reasonably priced.
Very, considering they're going to come with a little bit of jewellery. You know, I know it's not like jewelry. Amazing, but
no, it's not going to be anything like to probably shout about. You never know; it might be more impressive than we're thinking. But it comes in a little jewelry box. You get the CD and a piece of metal. Like,
right.
I feel like I think in the UK it was $16.99. I think for each one, roughly around there.
Yeah. That is like the normal that's it. Yeah,
it's pretty normal edition. Like, I'm really glad that we're getting these cool things because TTPD, the editions were really cool.
Love that.
I really loved the extras, so it's cool that we're getting these extras, and I'm going to be intrigued how they're going to be packaged because from the images it looks like it's just a standard CD case and that the jewelry box is separate
like in a box.
I'm intrigued how whether they're going to be shrink wrapped together,
we'll see.
How they're going to be included together, if they're going to be separate. So that's really cool. But no, I'm very surprised by the additions of the jewellery and potentially the reasoning for that, I guess, because it adds the kind of showgirly vibe of like glitz, gems and jewellery.
Also, we're kind of getting hints to lyrics through them because, like I was saying, the orange edition, the standard edition included a violet eye. So violet is going to be there somewhere. The red, It's Frightening edition includes a red wood heart. We know that wood is a song name. It's Rapturous purple, the actually romantic, again, song name envelope, and It's Beautiful white opalite star charm. So it's interesting to just see. I love when she does things like that and gives us like a little lyric here and there, like the
I think even the names of the lyrics, like
definitely
sweat and vanilla, perfume, like that is definitely
it's frightening, it's rapturous, it's beautiful, and that's showbiz for you. So even like the name of the playlist, it all comes together, and I love that. Love it. The weirdest named one, but so intriguing to me, the 2 vinyls that we got just at this point of us recording just a couple of days ago, the Shiny Bug editions. Shiny Bug is so interesting.
What a rogue name.
I want to know the lyric. Give me the lyric.
Me too. But then in a weird way, the cover, I was like, you do kind of look a bit like a shiny bug.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like in a weird way. Like I was like, it kind of works. Weird. Yeah, no, I was... The names I'm really intrigued by, and the covers, we need to get into those because we've obviously discussed the standard, which I genuinely love. The standard. Like personally, I think it might be my favourite.
Oh, okay. It's not my favorite. I really like. No.
I really like the standard.
Yeah.
What would you say? So I guess It's Frightening is the one where she's kind of crawling over, which I think is really cool.
I love that as a concept. Definitely.
Yeah. The Rapturous one, that's the one with her hands over her eyes.
That's it. Very Reputation with the wig. We've got a black wig going on. That bob is back. And then It's Beautiful is my favourite, which is her.
Really?
Yeah, kind of like
in the kind of showgirly.
Very, very glam, very, very shiny.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think she looks so good. Very, very showgirl. I think it's very showgirl. So that's why it's my favourite.
And aren't you a big fan of the Shiny Bug as well?
I am. I think it looks so good. I love the colour scheme, the purple and the green. I do really love them. Yeah. And I love what she's wearing as well. It's just so glamorous.
I do really like the covers. I feel like they all are very different from each other. I do feel like the TTBD ones were potentially a little bit similar.
I guess, like, and it's also dull. I obviously get it. Yeah. We understand why, and I love them for what they are. But this is so like in colour. And so, like, look at all of this sparkle and all of this. It does feel very Eras Tour. And that's why I think that she's doing it so well, because she knows that people are already nostalgic for that time because we had such a good time. Yeah. And this is kind of like an extension of that in many ways. As of now, we don't know what the lyrics are going to get into. I don't know. I feel that's why we feel already so attached to it. It reminds us of all of those costumes and variants. And something that doesn't happen very often, but has happened this time, and obviously we're glad for because it had been leaked, so it was the best thing really, is we have got the track list.
Yes, I can't believe we've got release date, cover, editions, track list.
We've got it all.
Features.
Yes. Oh God, yes.
Producers.
We haven't got into that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like normally, like we're waiting
till the last day,
and we've got to zoom in on some awful Instagram picture with some atrocious background. The most awful text to try and see what the love for tracklist was across 3 different pictures on Instagram. Not even one picture.
Now tell me why they were dots. So, you know what I mean? Like,
I will never understand that. I remember literally zooming and being like, what?
But this time she read the whole track list, which is so interesting, and we will read through it now and discuss that feature because I think that's the most important. And I think that because all of these names, we've got them so early on in the process, and they're all are so informative, I don't know, they're given a lot of information. I think that at some point before the album comes out, we need to do a deep dive of what we think all of these are going to be. So for now we have The Fate of Ophelia, Elizabeth Taylor, Opalite, Father Figure, Eldest Daughter, Ruin the Friendship, Actually Romantic, Wishlist, Wood, Cancelled, Honey, and of course The Life of a Showgirl title track, something that we spoke about not long ago, featuring a title track with a feature. Well, we got that before, but Sabrina Carpenter. Yes, exciting.
Very exciting, yes. I'm really intrigued about that. And the track list is really interesting.
I love it. I think it's also...
Wishlist has got dollar signs.
Oh, yeah.
Cancelled is capitals.
Yes, we love some typography.
Which is always exactly, very interesting. The one that I'm most interested about is obviously always track 5,
Yes.
which is Eldest Daughter.
I know.
Which is very interesting. I do feel like potentially it might be a little bit we had to do a stay, track 5.
Right,
Because the fact that
production
it seems
is
all very upbeat.
a bop, but lyricism is a little bit, if you set it to a different beat, we'd be crying. Yeah.
Yeah, which I'm totally down for. Like, we haven't had a track 5 like that in a while. But the one as well that I'm really, really excited about is Ruin the Friendship. Do you think it's potentially about certain Miss Lively?
I don't think so. I think people are not...
Oh, do you not?
No, I don't. I think it's going to be something like a romantic or something. I think...
Not friendship.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think it's going to be very, like, bait and switch with some of these. I think Cancelled isn't going to be what people think. I think Wood isn't going to be what people think. But that's the interesting thing, though. Like, they could lead us in very different ways. Then we have the Fate of Ophelia, Elizabeth Taylor, Opalite. They're very, very folklore Evermore-esque. So I can see where she was coming from with that.
Yes.
But no, very intriguing. And you could be completely right, and it could go that way. I just don't feel it will. Especially if this was written, you know, during last year, the European leg. I don't think we're going there. But who knows? Who knows? Because we know that Miss Taylor...
I'm very excited. I'm like...
Sometimes will say things.
You never know what to expect.
And they're not very true.
the thing... I feel like this is probably since Midnights. We've literally had one album since then. But Midnights, I remember that track list. I remember when we got the TTPD track list, I can't remember what we said. We would have definitely discussed it in one of our episodes. But I feel like you could kind of... There was a couple here and there, like Florida, which is a bit rogue. But you could kind of get the vibe.
It's because they were so long.
Some of them were going to be about.
Right?
Yeah. I feel like some of them you could, like So Long London and things. There was a couple where you could potentially suss out what they were going to... Whereas this, I feel like, is a bit more Midnights, where you've got, like, vigilante shit.
Right. Question.
You know what I mean? You're like, what? Yeah, Question. Or Mastermind. Stuff that you're like, anti-hero.
That's it. I think
like,
as much...
Is this a Batman film? You know what I mean?
As much as I love a long title and, like, We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, the acronyms of it all, I do like a good, like, one word. And it being honey, wood, opalite.
Yeah.
Interesting. But again, we have got a lot of information about each and every track from just the name. So I think it'll be interesting to sit down, because we're already, you know, probably an hour in. So I think it'll be interesting to sit down and then properly discuss each and every track. Because it is like you said, this is the earliest that we've got it in a very, very long time. And I love that. I think it leads us to being able to try and take a guess and talk about the memes about each one and what people are guessing, what we're guessing, what we think are going to be our favourites, and then probably get it all wrong, but still very interesting. And then recap all of the information that we do officially know as well. So I think if you guys are interested, I think that's something that I'd definitely love to do with you, Cameron.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we've come to the end of discussing all things Life for Showgirl. Please let us know your thoughts in the comments.
Yes.
If you're listening / watching on YouTube, let us know. How did you find out? Have you watched the podcast? What do you think? Let us know everything. I want to know. The more the merrier. But again, just want to celebrate the 4-year anniversary of this podcast. And again, shout out all of you guys that listen, because we wouldn't be doing it for 4 years if no one listened.
Exactly. Thank you for joining us.
We're very grateful. Yes, we're very grateful. Thank you again. And hopefully another solid year. And thanks again to Lisa for joining.
Thank you.
Letting me chat shit for
No, it's an honour.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, isn't it
it's mad.
Crazy that this is like... I believe it's like the 3rd official album. Obviously, we also have reactions and breaking down of Taylor's versions, which add up the total. But this is like the 3rd official release studio album that we have lived through. Midnights. Yeah. Midnights, TTPD.
Because our first like release was Fearless Taylor's version, wasn't it?
That's it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think we were just... Yeah, maybe we were at the end. Fearless was already out, perhaps, but we were discussing it.
Yeah, maybe, Yeah, I think so. I think maybe Red was our first,
we were
proper...
doing it as... We were podcasting it as it came out. I think Fearless was when we were still planning out and organising, and that's why we kind of like feel that it's the first. But yeah, I think Red... I think you're right with Red. But no, this is like the 3rd studio album that we've discussed from the beginning, which is... just, I don't know, it's crazy, isn't it, how time flies? But I'm very grateful because I find it even more fun when we can do things like this and we like properly go into all of the information. I also feel like it's a time capsule that will live on, because sometimes, Swiftie lore gets lost on the way, and this is a way to preserve it. At the moment in time.
Exactly, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is very nice. And the thing that is so nice as well is that, especially like all of our listeners and stuff, give us the grace to like have time to really digest and listen to the albums. And I really love being able to do that. And I really love that both of us get to go away and really soak up the album and then come together and really kind of give our like true, genuine thoughts and not like instant kind of reactions to stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that's my favourite thing when we get to chat properly once the album is released, is when we've both gone away, we've like soaked every corner of the album up and get to kind of share all of our thoughts and properly, digest it all. And I just love that. And what's always interesting is it's always around the anniversary that like
something goes down.
Throws, like it's always like chaos. I remember when we changed our color scheme for the first time to like a kind of light blue.
Right.
We were kind of announcing the color scheme changing up, and then like the day after.
Yeah, something like that.
Like,
yeah.
She like literally like the day after or a couple of days, she then announced Midnight. And it was like, oh my god, chaos.
Change your plans.
And it's always whenever we have loads of things planned, or whenever it's like, okay, well, like the amount of like Reputation themed episodes that people like, we'll hold off till Reputation. We'll hold off, and now it's like, okay,
what are we going to do with them? Well, we'll get to them at some point. And again, speaking of, I think we have to say that we're so grateful. I speak for the both of us, I'm sure, that you guys let us have some time off. This was the first time that we missed a couple of weeks this year because of things going on in our private life. So we're very grateful for that you stuck around and you came back to the episodes. And
and the lovely comments. It was like,
exactly,
one of those things where you're like, you come back and you think, oh god,
everyone's going to hate us.
Like, has everyone forgotten? Like, you know what I mean? Does anyone even want to listen anymore? And the fact that everyone was so lovely, and that was like, oh, that's what I love about this podcast. If we've carved out just a tiny little corner of the internet with just the loveliest listeners and just so much fun, and we just get to share and hear everyone's thoughts. And I think like seeing everyone's thoughts and to like their theories and sharing stuff. That's what I love. And
I think we've attracted
this little community.
We're very lucky because we've attracted people who are very much the same vibe as us, which is I will write you a whole entire essay in the comments.
Exactly.
Which is very us coded, because you'll give us an inch and we'll take a mile and we'll speak for an hour. So about one topic.
About literally about a cover of an album podcast and like 12 tracks that we have never heard.
Yeah. So we're so very grateful for these last few years. Much more to come. Obviously, as we said, this has derailed us a little bit more than we were already off the rails. So lots of TS12 content coming because it's what's on everyone's minds at the moment. But again, things that are in the air, we will get back to at some point. We promise.
Yeah.
So sorry about that, but I'm sure that all of you are just as interested in consuming TS12 content. The life of a showgirl, I have to get that in my head, content as much as we are. So, but no, thank you, Cameron. As you said, I'm very, very grateful to be able to share a podcast and just share my thoughts with someone who will bounce back and forth with me on all of these crazy things, all these very, very niche topics that we're both very, very consumed by. So it's been great.
Yes, thank you. Well, as we said, we've come to the end of this episode, and if you did enjoy and are listening over on YouTube, then please give us a thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. If you're listening on an audio only format like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we'd also really appreciate it if you could rate us. And if you do want to stay up to date with all things Swiftly Spoken, then either subscribe to our YouTube where we post on the community section, or follow us over on Instagram. Our handle is @SwiftlySpoken. But until next time, we'll speak soon.